If we're going to invoke Gandhi, let's at least get it right. It's a teachable moment here. And I'm going to tag Seema, one of my valued mutuals, on this so she can check me and keep me honest. Hey folks, I'm Tad Sturmer. I'm an American scholar of resistance history at the University of Southern Denmark and Johns Hopkins University. The way we're taught history often flattens it into something safe, something comfortable, something cozy. And a perfect example is the story of how India won its independence. Mahatma Gandhi, through the moral force of nonviolence, shamed the British Empire into leaving. It's a tidy narrative. Achievement without cost. Achievement without cost is a very popular idea to certain circles. But it's not true. And while it might comfort you, relying on myths to understand the world is a poor strategy. If you're going to do that, I recommend starting with Andor. Honest history is crucial because it gives us real people in real situations with real outcomes. It shows us what truly works and what truly doesn't. We can rely on it to a certain extent, and that's why we need to know it as well as we possibly can. We're not going to get 100% of the way there, but we can get as close to that truth as possible. And in terms of British withdrawal from India, it was not a simple moral victory. It was the result of a long, messy struggle that made the occupation unsustainable. There were decades of effective multi-front resistance, and it was bankrupting the British Empire. Now that helps us clarify Gandhi's role. One of the cool things about Gandhi was that what you saw was in no way what you got. He wasn't some sort of passive saint hoping for a British change of heart through the force of his own moral example. And here's your resistance history lesson of the day. He was a strategic genius at provocation. He had leaned heavily into Thoreau when Gandhi was imprisoned in South Africa. He took Thoreau's core principles in civil disobedience, especially that a moral person has a duty to actively refuse cooperation with an unjust system. And he refined that for what he needed to do, for his own circumstances, working with his own strengths, and critically, India's culture. How could he speak to and with the people who he was fighting for and with? So he generated the exceptionally valuable concept of truth force. This is a resistance principle drawn directly from Thoreau, built on by Gandhi, and was designed to force confrontation. The goal was to refuse cooperation with an unjust system so aggressively that the state had no choice but to reveal its own brutality. The 1930 Salt March was a masterclass in that. Unarmed activists marching peacefully to the sea to illegally make salt, goading the colonial police into a violent response that was broadcast to a horrified global audience. And Gandhi knew that was what was going to happen. He was counting on it. His actions might not have been violent in a simplistic way, but his whole intention was to generate violence, not to make salt. And Gandhi was an expert at leveraging global events. 1942, as Britain fought for its life in World War II, Gandhi launched the Quit India movement, demanding immediate independence as the price for India's cooperation in the war. He's able to leverage that, having Churchill over a barrel, India cooperation in the war for independence right after it. Now, the whole violent versus nonviolent binary, we can keep returning to it, one bad, the other good, is just a tactic used by those allied with the establishment to control real resistance. We see it time and time again as a way to put the brakes on change, on threats to that establishment, defining what is acceptable protest and what is not. Acceptable to who? Always ask yourself. Those who have something to lose. Even under a regime like the one in the United States right now, one that will keep on taking. Now, the lesson from India's independence and Gandhi himself isn't that one single tactic works. The lesson is that sustained multi-front withdrawal of consent makes oppression unworkable. The myth is tidy, but the reality is always messy, costly, and far more instructive.